Have you ever sat in worship being bored out of your mind, wondering if there was anything more than going to church and sitting in a pew and listening while people up front did stuff? I've been bored that way a lot. I kind of joke that's probably one of the reasons I like being up front because at least I can move and do things. Here's the thing. Christianity is not supposed to be a passive religion. It's not supposed to be going into church and sitting for an hour or 90 minutes and then getting up and leaving, and that's all you do for your faith all week long. That's not Christianity. That's social club. And that's not how it's supposed to happen. Christianity is at its core a very active faith. It's a social justice faith. So when you see all those social media memes about social justice warriors, we're supposed to be that. All of the insults that are supposed to come in there are highly ironic because that's exactly what Christianity is about. So when right-wing groups who claim to be Christian talk negatively about social justice and social action, they obviously haven't been paying attention to the Gospels or the rest of the Bible. Christianity is very, very active. Now, it does not mean that what you do wins you better places with God. That's called works righteousness, and that's not how this works. People used to think that back in the day, and other theologians came in and said, no, you're missing the whole point. And it is a missed point. It doesn't matter what we do. We have God's grace, we have God's love repeatedly. That's done. That's solved. There's a period on the end of that sentence. There's nothing else happening that we have to do to gain God's favor. We already have it. The active part comes in as what do we do with it now? And that's the part that I want to talk about. Our active faith. How do we, as Christians, as people who like to think we're Christians, as people who aren't quite sure what being a Christian means, how are we supposed to go and do things and live out our faith? Living out the faith is the whole point. You're not meant to just sit there for an hour or 90 minutes and listen to someone else. Worship in the early church had everybody around, maybe in a circle, maybe however the room configuration worked. And then one person would talk, and another person would lead singing, and another person would lead prayer, but people had jobs to do. And then at the end or the beginning, depending on how it worked, you'd all eat together. And you talk about the money, and you talk about who needed help, and you talk about who was sick that week, and you talk about who was going to go take care of widow what's-his-face who can't provide for herself, or who was going to take care of the children of blah blah because they were sick or out of town or had just died and they were having a struggle. That's what early worship was. It wasn't just sitting there like a bump on a log. It was actively talking with other Christians and talking about how to be better Christians through your actions. So when you think about Christianity, don't kind of get stuck on what it might look like on a Sunday morning in a church service when you're bored. That's not Christianity. That's a modern form of worship that has not always been the way it's been done. Your form of Christianity that counts is when you're active. Providing for the food bank, helping someone across the street, taking care of animals, taking care of the environment, taking care of your family, just doing nice things just for the sake of it. All of that is how we show that we're Christian. We don't have to quote verses from the Bible. We don't have to know song lyrics by heart. We don't have to pray every chance we get. None of those are asked of us in the Gospels and in the Bible at all. What we're asked to do is live Jesus' action. Clothe people, feed people, take care of people in prisons, take care of people who are sick. All that stuff, that is what active faith is. And that is something that anybody can do. And here's the cool thing about it all. Once you do that more, you feel it more. You feel closer connected to Jesus. And that's really what Christianity is meant to be. Not dogma, not prayer, not wearing the right clothes, not saying the right things. It's about actively doing the things that Jesus asked us to do.